Today we are here to discuss about what awesome things we have done at Intuitive Surgical. Hope everybody is doing good in these tough times and everybody is staying safe. Welcome again. Uh, Today, I just wanted to do a quick introduction. This is AJ Rao from Intuitive Surgical. I manage the information management, and we are actively implementing Collibra to enable analytics and data governance. Our mission, right, what we wanted to do as part of the Collibra implementation or analytics governance, wanted to build a cadence. We wanted to build analytics governance platform where all of our business users and analysts can log in and leverage all of the important information that has been captured. Part of the analytics governance challenges, uh, information regarding analytics or analytics governance is never co-located in single system. We are talking about metadata here, right? It's never in one single system. Even if we are able to effectively capture all of these informations from different applications, it's really difficult to link all of them up to form one full end-to-end lineage, right? And then once we capture all this information, ownership and defining the ownership and defining security is one of the most important aspects, and that's something that will help all of the business users and the communities, right? So that was kind of our problem statement, what we wanted to do, where we are, right? We wanted to collect all of the informations from different analytical systems, link them all up, define ownership, and define security. What are our key use cases? What was our driver for all these things, right? We wanted business definitions. What are the business definitions? What does our business drive and run their business with, right? So we wanted to collect the business and the data definitions. Where are my reports? One of the building blocks of analytics is reporting, apart from data, right? So we wanted to collect all of the reporting metadata. What data assets make up the reports, right? Who are the technical and the business owners of these reports in case there is an issue, in case there are questions, who do we contact? How do we put this all together and build an effective reporting catalog, right? So these were kind of our real world use cases that we wanted to achieve. And one of the key aspects, or two of the key aspects that we wanted to cover as part of the implementation was security and then ownership, right? So those are the two important pieces of information that is usually challenging and difficult to collect and link it to the analytical assets. So as part of this whole journey, we have connected to all different analytical systems like Tableau or manual reports that has been built, and we have tried to kind of build the entire 360-degree view of what information do they cater and what information they provide us. We want to add some business definitions to it, right? It's just reports and data alone doesn't provide all of the information. So we have collected business terms, acronyms, and KPIs. And then we have the EDW, or the enterprise data layer, that has been cataloged in Collibra, then linked into the reports, which are the business facing and the final front facing analytical applications, and then tied to that are the security assets. In this process of building this, one of the things that we realized was we need to understand what risk and what are the categorization of the data that are being used by the reports. That's where we kind of wanted to capture the data classification and classify and categorize our data, so that way we know what sensitive data and what important data resides within our systems, and how we can make sure that they're secure, what is being used in analytical systems. So that was kind of our that was kind of the quick summary of what we have tried to achieve achieve with Collibra at Intuitive. There is a lot more content and a lot more work in progress that we have right now. But I think this is kind of the core and the most important information that we have augmented Collibra with. Right? With that, I'll hand it over to Matt, who will talk in detail about each one of these different aspects and content that we have collected in Collibra.
Thank you, AJ. My name is Matthew Donahoe. I also work in the Enterprise Analytics Organization for ISI. I am the Principal Release Manager for our Collibra Data Governance Center. I do a lot of interaction with departments all across the company. We do a lot of solutioning, a lot of specialized configuration for folks that are having very unique use cases here at ISI. I want to close out on some of the topics that AJ covered by showing everybody here on the call our asset universe at ISI, because I think it helps drive home points for our two value cases that we're going to be covering. So the first thing that we do, and many of you are going to be familiar with parts of this, is we start with business terms. Very important for us to have glossaries and business terms defined. We associate and link business terms to KPIs that are also defined. Those KPIs are displayed on our Tableau reports that we also catalog. And our Tableau reports are connected to data sources in our enterprise data warehouse. As you can imagine, when I talk about data sources, I'm talking about tables and columns that are stored inside of our databases and schemas. Our Tableau reports are contained within our Tableau workbooks, and our Tableau workbooks are contained within our Tableau projects. So for those of you who have a lot of experience with Tableau, you can understand the food chain and how Tableau operates. The Tableau project's at the very top. We use Active Directory groups to secure our Tableau projects. We can also do that at the workbook level. We also use AD groups to secure databases and to secure or grant access to tables and even columns. And finally, what we do is we correlate business terms to items inside of physical data dictionaries, which are obviously the surfacing and the cataloging of the content that lives inside of our databases. So this is a very important way for us to show you at 15,000 feet how we correlate information that we're storing inside of our Collibra. And it supports the types of specialized use cases and value cases that we are working on. We build reports, as you can imagine, for departments across our ISI enterprise. We designed and built our enterprise data warehouse, and we maintain tables and views that supply information to those reports. And we leverage an Active Directory model to give people access to either Tableau reports or EDW assets. Here's a sample of what it looks like to bring in an entire Tableau report catalog into our DGC. This is a flattened view of the 4,000 workbooks. You can sort these things by project. We have many, many projects. Most of our projects are aligned to our departments. The one you see here on the page is Department Customer Training. We also bring in, as mentioned, the entire EDW data ecosphere. So all the metadata, all the databases, the schemas, the tables, the columns, all of that stuff is brought in. And we have many, many different views, list views of that information. This one is all tables flattened out, and there are many of those. The beauty of also creating an index of 80 groups is this picture here. You see that for every Tableau asset or every EDW asset that we bring in, we also bring in the attached 80 group asset that is there in that source. And you can see at the bottom half of the screen, there's a list of users that expanded that are actually contained within an 80 group. That's obviously very important to our value case. Where this provides us a tremendous amount of value is in our linkability. So if you look, this is a picture, an asset view for just a single Tableau workbook. At the center of the screen, you can see there are 380 groups that grant access to this Tableau workbook. Here's an EDW asset example of the same concept. This is a table called calendar. And at the center of this asset view are 280 groups that are securing this table. What we're able to do, for example, with this information is if you are the business administrator or business approver for the Tableau project called Department Customer Care, you can see that your Tableau project is secured using 280 groups. What you can do furthermore is you can create a specialized view that exposes all of the users that are in those groups. And you can monitor this on a real-time basis, day-to-day basis. And the beauty of it is if you're very familiar with your user set and you know that you only have granted access to 3 people, but there are 10 people in your user list combined, you know that more people have access to your report than should have access. Um, this is information that typically folks have to go to a programmer to get. You'd have to go to your Tableau engineer. You'd have to ask them to write a SQL query so they can extract the AD information for your reports. Using Collibra, you no longer have to do that. The other thing that you can do is you can take this information and you can enrich this information with employee data. So if you have certain standardized rules, for example, your report should only be accessed by people who are members of the Department of Customer Care at ISI, you can enrich the information to see if there are folks who aren't members of that department and therefore should not have access. So we've basically empowered people to do their own AD group audits and access reviews. The second value case is the whole case around data classification. So ISI is a medical device company. Um, Data privacy, data sensitivity, and security is really important. This is a regulated industry. So it's very, very important for us to actually create classification either by subject matter or by key data type. So key data types being, public health records, third-party information, person identifiable information, or subclassifications of data by product or customer or employee. The way that we do this is we use the data set concept in Collibra. So we separate the subject matters of the company's enterprise by data set. So the first one you see there is customer, and there's a whole bunch of others that most of you are probably very familiar with: manufacturing, marketing, product. The first column to the right is the source system that supplies that subject matter. The final column to the far right is the enterprise data tables and views that are leveraging those source system data to support the subject matter. So that's the first layer of our classification model. The second layer is the dictionary layer, or the column elevation. So we need to see the columns that are inside the views that are inside these subject matters. So for example, I'm showing you guys product right now, and you can see I have the columns obfuscated. We're not allowed to show that stuff without approval from our legal team. We didn't have time to do that, so wanted to still put the presentation together in a timely fashion for you all. So if I bring it down, why is the column level elevation important? It's important because that's where the classification occurs. So we actually will pick every single column in every single view inside of our enterprise data warehouse ecosphere, and we will classify it. So here are 3 flavors of classification. The first one's Collibra security level. Is it a corporate type column asset, or is it restricted? That all that means is that if you have access to our Collibra, if it's a corporate asset, you'll be able to see this column. We don't keep any raw data. We don't keep any real data. The data that is stored in this column is not inside of our Collibra ecosphere. It's just the metadata, the fact that there is a column there, and metadata about the column. The other thing that we keep is the person identifiable information. And this is very, very, very valuable to our data security people, because now they can spin off other views inside of Collibra. They can actually say, I want a view of all PII related columns inside of EDW. They can actually create that view because we've empowered them to do that now. The other thing that they can do with that view is they can correlate via relations. They can correlate all the reports that are using that PII asset or those PII assets in their reporting. So you can then you can then audit the reports and say, hey, this report shouldn't be revealing any PII information. We've made that task very efficient for anybody that's in data security and data governance here at ISI. And then the last column there is external reporting. This isn't fully refined at this time, but this is just another example of what you can do with classification. We can now classify a column as something that's used in a report that we release external to ISI users. So any number of attributes and different types of flavors of classification can be invoked here. We have, is the column an encrypted column? We have, is the column used in row level security here at ISI? We have many, many flavors of classification. I'm just showing you the three here that we have today. And with that, that really concludes the second value case in terms of our two value cases that we're presenting here to all of you today. And I thank you for your time. That closes up our presentation of our value cases here at ISI for Collibra DGC.